Free Japan Channel number 104. Today, September 24th, Wednesday. The time is 10 a.m. Good morning, everybody. Today's morning has come, Yokohama. Yokohama has now seen the advent of autumn. So autumn has come. Of course, the forest color is still green, but next month, October, and then November, this green forest will turn into red forest, yellow forest. Therefore, various colors will appear in front of me, in Yokohama. Dear listeners, how are you doing? September. Today's topic is LDP President Election in 2025. This is the topic of this morning. LDP President Election in 2025. So this year. Now, Prime Minister Ishiba announced his resignation this month, so at the beginning of September. Therefore, at first, the president of LDP should be chosen by the LDP members. So these members mean the ordinary citizens who belong to LDP. And then the LDP Diet member, so those who have the seats in the Japanese Diet also have a vote. LDP president election has two systems. First, broadly, the citizen members, next, Diet members of LDP throw a vote to the president of LDP. This time, 5 candidates are running for this president election. Out of these 5 candidates, Shinjiro Koizumi, Sanae Takaichi, these 2 persons are now prominent or are now drawing attention from the public as well as media. The last 3 persons have no possibility of being elected this time. Therefore, today's FGC also focuses on Koizumi and Takaichi. Shinjiro Koizumi is still in his 40s, therefore relatively young compared to other candidates. Normally, Japanese Prime Minister is chosen among the candidates who are in their 60s, perhaps 60s. However, Shinjiro Koizumi is still in his 40s, so 20 years younger than the average. In Japanese modern history, there were so many prime ministers, but the prime minister in his 40s are so few that we can name it. Hirobumi Ito and Fumimaro Konoe. These 2 persons are in their 40s when they became prime minister, and both of them are still now very famous in the modern Japanese history. So in this sense, if Shinjiro Koizumi becomes next president of LDP, which means next prime minister of Japan, he may be the historical prime minister because his predecessors who became prime minister in their 40s are so famous, and we still learn their names in the modern Japanese history. Shinjiro Koizumi has father who also was Prime Minister of Japan, Junichiro Koizumi. His father, Junichiro Koizumi, was Prime Minister from 2000 to 2005, so approximately 5 years. 5 years is relatively long compared to other prime ministers in the post-war era. Junichiro Koizumi, so his father, was popular among Japanese people. And this popularity was handed down to his son, Shinjiro Koizumi. Therefore, Koizumi is now very, very popular, and his name is so spread among Japanese citizens. Even anti-LDP citizens know his name, of course, Shinjiro Koizumi. He is now agriculture minister in Ishiba cabinet, and Ishiba cabinet has experienced the rice crisis, so-called rice crisis, which means the price of rice in Japan soared last year and this year, so 2024 and 2025. But once Shinjiro Koizumi became agriculture minister, the price of rice fall down to the normal level. So this makes people happy. Of course, this makes people happy. Therefore, the popularity of Shinjiro Koizumi also skyrocketed. Now, many informed people are of the opinion that Shinjiro Koizumi will be next prime minister, and I'm also one of these people who say that Shinjiro Koizumi is very promising. On the other hand, the other promising candidate, Sanae Takaichi, she is a female politician, and she is a conservative politician. LDP has been said to be a conservative party, but the listeners of this FGC know very well that LDP is no longer a conservative party. Rather, LDP is a very liberal party which listens to the opinion of China, South Korea, and even North Korea. Of course, the opinions of the United States. So LDP is now very obedient to the influence of other countries, surrounding countries of Japan. This is not a conservative party. To make matters worse, coalition government of LDP with Komeito party has deteriorated the situation. Komeito party is notorious for being pro-China. Komeito party is backed up by Soka International religious group here in Japan. Of course, I don't mind whether some religious people establish the political party. However, this Komeito party has been, so for these 5 years, has been so pro-China. So they were so-called agent of China. Therefore, Komeito party distorted Japanese politics in a very curious way. And with this Komeito party has LDP collaborated politically in 20 years now. The reason is that Komeito party has basic votes, because Soka International has throughout Japan, so many proponents, so many supporters, members. Therefore, these people are now backing up LDP politics because of the coalition with Kome Party. This is a very distorted, twisted Japanese politics, but this is reality. In this miserable situation, Sanae Takaichi was loner in LDP, so she has no faction at all in LDP, but she has the legal skill to make laws. There are so many Diet members who cannot make any laws, even they are in the Diet. So in this miserable situation, Sanae Takaichi is very conspicuous because she's so skillful. She's so she has so expertise in politics, so she can make law by herself. Her conservatism is now salient in LDP because, as I said, LDP is now a liberal party. So LDP Diet members do not support Sanae Takaichi on a large scale because she has such a propensity toward conservatism. Of course, this FGC has been discussing conservatism and liberalism. Therefore, personally speaking, I am one of the supporters of Sanae Takaichi, but I'm not a member of LDP, nor do I have the right to vote of president election this time. Therefore, I can only talk about it. I can only talk about the election of LDP president this time. Maybe Shinjiro Koizumi will be the next prime minister. And this is something in Japanese modern political history because he's young and his father was also prime minister and his grandfather was also ministers, not prime minister, but politician and ministers. And his grandfather was also politician. Therefore, fourth generation of political lineage is Koizumi family. Shinjiro is at the end of this lineage now. What kind of Japan will appear when Shinjiro Koizumi become prime minister? This is another topic. So, about this future Koizumi cabinet, I will talk about it in the later program. Thank you.